Okay.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County, July 13th, 2023 meeting. This public hearing is being televised live on St. Mary's County Government TV 95 and the county's YouTube channel. It will remain available for on-demand viewing on the St. Mary's County Government YouTube channel. My name is David Willenborg. To my left is their Vice Chairman, Richard Watts. To his left is Member Cole, and then Member Hill. Absent is Richard Shin, and to my right is our Administrator, Tammy Hildebrand. To her right is Chris Beaver, our attorney. Susie Dean, the recording secretary and audience, sir. Kevin Hall, put your hand up. He's our inspector. And Deputy Steve Myers, the alcohol enforcement coordinator. First thing on the agenda is to approve the agenda for this month.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Member Hill. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you. Next thing, we're going to approve the minutes from June 8th. Has everybody got a chance to review them?
Yes.
Any changes needed? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll
Make a
make a
mo-
motion, we approve the June 8th minutes.
Thank you. Member Hill?
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Cole seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. First order is business is old business, extension of conditional approvals. Cracker Barrel, Linda C. Carter, attorney for the applicants, requesting a 90-day extension of conditional approval. Please come forward and be sworn in.
You have the,
You don't have the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
stand by.
Should be on one of those, but here we go. I got it.
said it 100 times. I'm sure I could probably do it from memory, but as soon as I try, I'll mess it up, and our attorney will. Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Excellent. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Rayleigh, and my address is 45266 St. George's Avenue in Pine Point, Maryland, zip code 20674.
Okay.
Thank you. Sit down and welcome. Go ahead and present your application.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Linda Carter, and I'm here on behalf of the Cracker Barrel located at 45315 Able House Lane in California. We are requesting, with your permission, another 90 days to effectuate this license. I think, and Tammy, please correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing outstanding at this point is a trader's license in the name of Seabox Maryland 1 LLC. We've been working with the clerk's office. We are cautiously optimistic that a new trader's license will issue by the end of next week, but just in case, we're asking for 90 days.
Okay. Any questions from the members?
I recused myself for this original application.
Okay.
So I'll have to recuse myself again.
That's right, I forgot about that, Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Mr. Cole?
Yes, I'd say that we approve the extension of conditional approval for Cracker Barrel, Linda C. Carter, attorney for the applicant, requesting a 90-day extension of conditional approval, conditioned on the,
You can just leave it. She's
Leave it?
already got it. Yep.
okay, no conditions, all right.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passes.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Good
and
luck.
Tammy will be in touch. Thank you. And again, you know, I'm about a 2-hour drive away, and my clients, saving the resident licensee, are in Nashville or right outside of Nashville. Tammy has been amazingly gracious in working with us so that we didn't have to make multiple trips. So I just wanted y'all to know.
Good.
Your staff is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great and safe one.
Yes, ma'am.
Not of funds, Tammy, for them to say that.
I know, that petty cash is getting lower and lower on these.
It's a joke.
Yes, it is. It's a joke, absolutely.
Chairman of the
You don't
Ethics.
have any petty cash.
I know, I don't have any petty cash, you're right.
Okay. Next on the agenda is violations. Employee, Marcy Kathleen Fox, the above individual, Marcy Kathleen Fox, was an employee of a license holder and sold or provided alcohol beverages to an individual under the age of 21 years in violation of 6-304 of the alcohol beverage article of the annotated code of Maryland and 5.04J of the rules and regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. Please come forward and be sworn in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Macy Catherine Fuchs, 23231 Holly Hill Lane, California, Maryland.
Okay, please have a seat. Oh, up here. Sorry, not back there.
Sorry, there's actually several ways to pronounce that. Okay. So, hold on a second here. So the first question I have to ask is, did this event take place? Okay. Mr. Beavers, will you read the facts in?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The facts underlying this violation are as follows. On April 21st, 2023, at 6:05 p.m., St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent the Sheriff's Office confidential informant, 20 years of age, into the front porch located at 22770 Washington Street in Leonardtown, Maryland, with no identification. The confidential informant entered the premises and sat at an outdoor table with two other individuals. The confidential informant ordered an alcoholic beverage called Wharf Breeze from a server later identified as Miss Macy Catherine Fuchs. Miss Fuchs proceeded to serve the underage confidential informant with the alcoholic beverage. Miss Fuchs did not ask the confidential informant for any identification or proof of age. Subsequently, confidential informant contacted Deputy Stephen Myers of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit and informed him of the sale and provided a description of Ms. Fuchs. Deputy Myers presented at the licensed premise, made contact with the confidential informant, and captured the alcoholic beverage on film through a body-worn camera. Confidential informant then exited the premises. Thereafter, Corporal Handy, also of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit, and Deputy Myers made contact with Ms. Fuchs, identified themselves, and informed her that she had sold an alcoholic beverage to an underage Sheriff's Office confidential informant. Ms. Fuchs admitted to not asking the confidential informant for identification prior to serving the alcoholic beverage. Ms. Fuchs was notified that an offense report would be completed and that she and the licensee would be issued summonses to appear before this board. Images were captured on the body camera and placed into evidence. All this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
You're welcome.
So, members, questions?
Ms. Fuchs, how long have you been working at the front porch?
Since January of this year.
Since January this year? Are you still employed with the front porch? Yeah. What sort of training had you been given with respect to serving alcohol?
I came from a corporate location at the Green Turtle, so I'm aware that you're supposed to 100% check everyone's ID in the state of Maryland. After, I failed to ID, I was placed under a 1-week suspension period. It was made very clear by Manager Jordan that, if any of this happened again, you would be immediately fired. So everybody, therefore, has ID'd everyone 100%.
Okay. So perhaps I'll be a little more clear. So since January, you've been at this location, you said you came from corporate. Since January, you came to this location. When you reported this location, had you received any additional training?
I was trained as a server there when I started, but that was it.
Okay. You didn't have a manager or a senior bartender or anybody like that give you additional?
18 years of age, so I can only carry alcohol to the table. I can't make drinks or anything like that. So-
Sure, I understand. But did anybody provide you with any training on what to look for in ID and to ask for ID and things of that nature?
Yeah, I was made clear you're supposed to ID everyone 100%, which I did know coming from a corporate restaurant before working at the front
Okay.
porch.
So I'm curious then, and if you've had the training, you've been there since January, it was April this occurred, so it's been basically 3 months since you had the training. Curious in your words, why did this happen?
I had just finished taking a 40-person party. I kind of ran outside quickly. I was just thinking drinks and apps, trying to be pretty quick. One of the girls, Brianna Dodge, she had told me she usually gets a Wharf Breeze when she comes in, so I assumed, you come in, you drink. I didn't think to ID them. All 3 girls ordered the same drink. I also knew one of the girls from outside of work. She's of age, Brianna Dodge. She is best friends with my babysitter, so I obviously haven't had a babysitter in probably about 10 years, so I knew she was of drinking age if she's friends with someone who used to babysit me, and I did not ID the 2 girls she was with because of that. I had
Okay.
assumed they were all of age to drink.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly, that there was some familiarity with a person in the party.
Yes,
And because
one-
of that familiarity, that caused you to let your guard down a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to do a favor by any means. I just knew she was of age, so I had assumed the 2 girls she was with were also of age.
Okay. So did you, because of that familiarity, make sure again I understood you correctly, the person you were friends with,
I wouldn't really say friends. I just know of her, small town kind of thing.
okay, so it's an acquaintance,
Yes.
not necessarily a
She didn't
friend.
recognize me. I just kind of knew of her.
Okay, all right. Okay. So, but again, you said yourself, you're 18, you knew of this person, so given that you would probably be of close proximity in age, you're still 3 years away from to legally drink yourself. I guess I'm trying to still understand why the familiarity here at this point made you feel that they were probably of age, or at least close enough that you wouldn't feel the need to card them.
So Carly Weingartner, that's the babysitter I'm referring to, she graduated from Riken in 2015, so she is of legal drinking age as well as her friend Brianna Dodge. I've seen posts and all things of sorts of them out and about, so I knew that this girl was of age. She's got to be at least 24. Like I said, I obviously haven't needed a babysitter in quite some time, so I know we're kind of similar in age, but she's definitely of age to drink. So I assumed the 2 girls she was with were also of age, which was a
Okay.
mistake on my behalf.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Questions? Well, I have one. So what's the policy of the restaurant that you work at as regards to ID checks?
And we were supposed to 100% ID everybody. And after this event happened, I was placed under a 1-week suspension, and Jordan, my general manager, sent out a post to make it clear to every single employee at the front porch, if anything happened again, red card sting, anything like that, you would be immediately terminated. So the policy was made clear to everyone. I was luckily given a second chance, but that's not going to be the case to anyone
But when the
else.
event happened, you were fully aware of the policy of 100% ID check?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll move into the penalty phase.
Okay. I'll make a motion. So based on the facts presented and the testimony given, I'll I'll make a motion to fine Miss Marcy Fuchs $150 for providing alcoholic beverage to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the Alcohol Beverages Article of Annotated Code and 5.04J, the rules and regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County.
Okay, we have a motion. Do you have a second? No second? Okay. We're looking for a new motion.
I'll make a motion that we, in light of the testimony given, that we impose a fine of $250 to Marcy Fuchs.
Okay, we have a new motion for the penalty being $250. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Okay. Discussion.
So, Mr. Cole, I'm curious why 250.
I'm sorry?
I'm curious why the elevated.
Why the 250?
Yeah, why the elevated.
I'm
penalty.
just looking at what we have fined first offense on previous cases and being consistent with a $250 fine, first offense.
So,
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know if we can do this now. I have a question, actually, in this discussion for Sergeant Myers, Deputy Myers.
You have
You have a motion.
You have a motion and you have a.
But when we go to discussion,
That would be testimony.
okay, can't do it. Okay. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, it's, I seem to recall our first offense has typically been a little bit less than that. And agreed, she definitely needs to be penalized. She definitely knowingly messed up, despite knowing the policy and even being such a short time frame, is a little bit concerning.
And she admits that she knew what the policy was at the time
Yes.
and chose instead not to follow the policy. And
Agreed. Agreed. It's absolutely worthy of stiff penalty, but this seems to be a bit excessive beyond what we've done in the past, is my concern.
okay,
So, so that hence that's where my concern is, and why I seconded the motion to get into this part of the discussion. But I do have concerns that I think this might be
Yeah,
excessive.
I agree, Richard, I agree that, 250 is a pretty hefty chunk of change, for a fine. But it's my belief, too, that imposed, you don't soon forget that. And as the chairman said, she knew the policies for the restaurant. Her excuse also was that she was acquainted with one of the individuals that was there,
Yes.
which I find to be troubling.
Well, I can certainly understand that caused her to let her guard down a little bit.
Sure.
Regardless, she still
Sure.
knew the policy, which was 100% verification, right? 100%
Right.
ID, right? Regardless of your familiarity with someone.
Right.
However, I can understand that can potentially lead to, someone letting their guard down. Regardless, the policy is the policy, the rules, the law is the law, right? We need to follow that. I suspect, given her employer's edict as well of, sort of a zero tolerance not any other issue, she's terminated. I suspect she's not going to soon forget this either, even with a $150 fine, which at the end of the day, I think is really where we're concerned about, is to ensure that, policies are followed and that we don't find ourselves back here again. So that's kind of where my head is at. I just want to make sure that we had that as part of the discussion so that you guys are at least aware. But that's all I had.
Okay. So we have a first, we have a second. Discussion's done. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed? Mr. Watts opposes? Okay. So you have, pardon me?
Motion passed.
Yeah, motion passed. She got it. You have 10 days to pay the fine. You may, within 30 days from today, appeal the decision to the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County. Do you understand? Go over and see Susie. Okay, Jeffrey P. Lewis, sale of alcohol beverages to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the alcoholic beverage article of the annotated Code of Maryland and 5.04J of the rules and regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. Please come forward and be sworn in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
It's Jeffrey Lewis, 20699 Colby Drive, Lexington Park, Maryland, 20653.
Okay, please come forward and have a seat.
The described events take place?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Did the event take place?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Beaver, would you please read this in, on the facts in?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The facts underlying this violation are as follows. On April 21st, 2023, at approximately 6:05 p.m., St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent Sheriff's Office confidential informant, 20 years of age, into the front porch located at 22770 Washington Street, Leonardtown, Maryland, with no identification. The confidential informant entered the premise and sat at an outdoor table with two individuals who were already seated there. Confidential informant ordered an alcoholic beverage called the Wharf Breeze from a server, later identified as Miss Macy Catherine Fuchs. Ms. Fuchs proceeded to serve the underage confidential informant with the alcoholic beverage. Ms. Fuchs did not ask the confidential informant for any identification or proof of age. Subsequently, the confidential informant contacted Deputy Stephen Myers of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit and informed him of the sale and provided a description of Ms. Fuchs. Deputy Myers presented at the licensed premise, made contact with the confidential informant, and captured the alcoholic beverage on film using his body-worn camera. Confidential informant then proceeded to exit the premise. Thereafter, Corporal Handy, also of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit, and Deputy Myers made contact with Ms. Fuchs, identified themselves, and informed her that she had sold an alcoholic beverage to an underage Sheriff's Office confidential informant. Ms. Fuchs admitted to not asking for identification from the confidential informant prior to serving the alcoholic beverage. Ms. Fuchs was notified an offense report would be completed and that she and the licensee would be issued summonses to appear before this board. Images were captured of the alcoholic beverage and placed into evidence. All of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
You're welcome.
So now I would like to ask Sergeant Myers something. Were the other two individuals at the table part of the operation or just, okay, that's what I
Chance
want.
meeting.
Chance meeting, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you. Okay. Questions?
Mr. Lewis, what is your policy there at the restaurant with respect to serving alcohol?
I usually just tell them 40 and under. Anybody 40 and under, looks 40 and under, you need to card them.
Okay, it's not 100% carding policy?
No.
Okay. What sort of training do you provide your employees?
All my managers are trained, alcohol trained. I can't remember specifically the alcohol training program. I do know it was Brooke Brown that gave it to us. I'm sure Tammy can speak to exactly what that program was. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, aside from the formal training that we require of licensees, what sort of training do you provide your servers when they come on staff before you allow them to start serving alcohol?
I can bring up my general manager. She could speak better to exactly what the current policies are. Any policy that I'm going to give you is under my reign when I was fully in charge of operations. So it's her horse now. She's the one that's in charge of the daily operations. I can speak to what it is I've told her and what it is that, I've trained her to say to the staff. But I think it might be better if you hear from her exactly what her policies are and how she's handling it.
Well, Mr. Lewis, you're the licensee, right?
Yes, sir.
You can delegate authority, you can't delegate responsibility. So it is your responsibility to ensure that these employees are trained. And I would think that as the licensee, you would know what sort of training that is, even though you entrust your general manager with the authority to issue that training. So do I understand that as a licensee, am I hearing you correctly in that you're saying you do not know what training is provided to servers prior to allowing them to serve alcohol in your restaurant?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the person I have in charge I trust, and that she could speak better to the exact policies of like what's happening.
Okay.
To say that I am not responsible for what happens. I mean, this entire event I'm responsible for, and I would never sit here and say anything otherwise.
No, I don't
As
think he
far
meant
as-
that.
Yeah.
That's not what he said. He was I'll clarify what he was asking. What's been said was, you understood what was done when you were in charge. Somebody else is in charge, and you can't speak on what practices are taking place now. That's what was said. So, and that's what he was trying to.
Okay, and let me clarify. What I wanted to do is have Jordan come up and speak to you about the specifics of what's happening right now.
Okay. Mr. Beaver, you have any objection to us doing that?
No, you can bring up someone to provide testimony if he likes.
And she was on premise when this happened.
Please go
as
forward
well.
and be sworn in.
If the board feels it's helpful, then.
I think it's helpful. I certainly think it's helpful to understand the policies and procedures of the restaurant and what their training is, and as licensees. Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Jordan Walker, 22760 Washington Street, Leonardtown, Maryland, 20650.
Okay, please come forward and have a seat. So, Ms. Walker, the question is what training do you provide your servers when they come on staff prior to you allowing them to serve alcohol to the public?
So each server comes in and they follow another previously trained server for 3 days to a week, depending on how well they do. A lot of them are already experienced. As far as alcohol, his policy was 40 and under. I still felt like they were having a hard time trying to figure that out, so I do just tell them to ID everyone, even though we get a little bit of backlash quite often. But I just find that it's easiest and makes there be no questions. We have a few dedicated bartenders, so I would say not often is there too many other people behind the bar. But during the days, the other staff members do make their drinks and take them to tables, et cetera. I believe, and as long as I've been there, this is our first offense, which is going on 8 years at this point. Like I said, you don't want to make any excuses, but I mean, I definitely saw where Macy's head was at, which is why she still works there. I think that she's a really talented and valuable employee, and it felt like this was a true and honest mistake on her part that she definitely took 100% credit for and responsibility for. And she understood if I needed to fire her, that was
But me and Jeff went back and forth on it. And he was very much like, I would fire her, but I felt as though I wanted to fight and use it as an example for the rest of the staff members, kind of as a refresher that, you know, Macy's getting suspended for this week while I try and figure out what it is that I want to do with her.
We discussed, you know, very
Very heavily.
very heavily, you know, for a week. You know, she was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, right now she needs to be out of the building.
Yeah.
And then me and you, like, when I'm not losing my mind over the phone,
Right.
I will calm down, and then we can talk about it. And that's what happened. Multiple discussions about how we're going to move forward with this.
Okay. Ms. Walker, there was a mention of, I guess, an email from you following up. Could you describe that follow-up, I guess, and who that went to and maybe the contents of that?
Email?
Or there was some sort of message, I guess, that you had
Yes.
put out?
So we have an employee page that I make announcements on or whatever. And I basically put something out that was like, you know, for those who aren't aware of what happened this weekend, you know, I outlined the events and what went down. I told them that Macy was being suspended, you know, based on further discussion of what her future at the restaurant would be. And then I told everyone that from here moving forward, anyone who violates the rules will just be terminated immediately.
In that message, did you remind everyone of your current policy?
Yeah, I just told everybody, like, if you have any doubts in your mind, ID, and 100% is easiest.
Okay.
And poor Macy, I could promise you the $250 fine isn't anything to what I've probably put her through that every time I see her and remind her of our meeting today, that I'm very much looking forward to come in front of the board on the meeting today to discuss it and so on and so forth. Because I think for me, again, I know Jordan had mentioned this, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but we never had a problem ever in the past. And I can no longer say that in my restaurant, and that's a real problem for me. It's a real problem for me.
I think
Understood.
even the officer who came to the restaurant had mentioned that he was like, the front porch never gets caught, you know what I mean? Like, the front porch never makes a violation, so.
Yeah, I'm serious about this stuff. This is not a matter of, like, me being in trouble up here in front of a board. This is a matter of public safety. This is a matter of young people having access to something they don't need to have access to because they're just not ready for it. And quite frankly, that for me, I mean, my children are out here, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a part of this community. And that's any potential risk or like anything. And there's, 60 people, 50 people depending on this restaurant to be successful. People feed their families with this money that they're creating, and I don't take that responsibility lightly either. I mean, this is a real thing. And any potential like disruption in our business or like the ability for us to serve the general public it's a real problem for not just Macy and not just for me, for tons of other people. And I know Jordan can speak the same way that I do. We don't take that responsibility lightly.
Okay, thank you.
Your policies and procedures here for the serving of alcohol with your employees, do you have any of that in writing? Any kind of policy or procedure?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a handbook.
Employee handbook.
I'm sorry?
We have an employee handbook.
Employee handbook?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that included in?
It's included in their welcome packet, and they're required to sign it.
Okay,
And I'd be happy to provide a copy of that.
no, that's, as long as you've got it in writing there, that's,
Any other questions? Okay. Move into the penalty phase.
I'll make the motion based on the facts presented and the testimony received to licensee Jeffrey B. Lewis for the sale of alcohol to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304, the alcohol beverage article of the annotated code of Maryland, and 6-04J of the rules and regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. Fine of $500 and RAST training within 90 days.
$500, nothing held in abeyance, right?
My apologies, thank you. May I correction, $1,000 fine, 500 held in abeyance, RAS training in 90 days.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the clarification.
We have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? None. Passes.
Good luck.
You have 10 days to pay the fine, and you may, within 30 days from today, appeal the decision to the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County and go over and see Susie. Chaptico Market in Delhi. Joshua Robert Regal. The above individual, Joshua Robert Regal, was an employee of a license holder and sold or provided alcohol beverages to an individual under the age of 21 years in violation of 6-304 of the alcohol beverage article of the annotated code of Maryland and 5.04J of the rules and regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be nothing but the truth?
I did.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Joshua Robert Regal, Upland Drive, 20310. That's all I can remember at the top of my head.
Okay, please come forward and have a seat.
So, sir, did the events take place?
Listen,
Did you sell did you?
I absolutely did, yes.
Okay. Mr. Beaver?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the facts underlying this violation are as follows. On May 30th, 2023, at approximately 4:30 p.m., the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent a Sheriff's Office confidential informant, 19 years of age, into Chaptico Market in Delhi, located at 25466 Maddox Road in Chaptico, Maryland. Once inside, the confidential informant retrieved a six-pack of 12-ounce cans of Smirnoff Ice, Red, White, and Berry, and proceeded to the checkout counter. The confidential informant placed the alcoholic beverages on the checkout counter for purchase, where the clerk, later identified as Mr. Joshua Robert Regal, proceeded with the sale. Mr. Regal failed to ask the confidential informant for any identification or proof of age. Confidential informant completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premise with the alcoholic beverages. Confidential informant thereafter made contact with Corporal Patrick Handy and Deputy Stephen Myers of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit outside of the licensed premise. Confidential informant described the sale of the alcoholic beverages to the unit members and advised that the clerk did not ask for any identification. Corporal Handy and Deputy Myers entered the licensed premise, identified themselves, and informed Mr. Regal that he had sold alcoholic beverages to the sheriff's office. Confidential informant, Mr. Regal, admitted to not asking the confidential informant for identification prior to the sale. Mr. Regal was informed by the officers that an offense report would be completed and that he and the licensee would be summoned to appear before this board. Photographs of the alcoholic beverages were taken and placed into evidence, and all of this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
You're welcome.
Members, any questions?
How long have you been working with Cheptico Market?
Close to a year, I think.
Close to a year? Have you been selling alcohol that entire time?
Yes.
Okay. Are you still employed with Cheptico Market?
Yes, I am.
You are. Can you describe what sort of training you received with respect to before you were given responsibility to sell alcohol?
Sure. Well, besides being, obviously told multiple times throughout me working there that 100% always check the ID no matter what. I mean, I'm 100%, taking responsibility for it. But yeah, all employees helped too. Manager Luke helped. They always 100% told us, ID, just about like that.
So knowing that that's the requirement and that's the policy, could you describe in your words why you failed to do that done this time?
Just personal head clutter. I wasn't thinking, wasn't paying attention, wasn't on my game.
So I guess you can understand, our concern is that, are you going to be not on your game in the future?
No, sir. I'll be on my game.
Are there any other sort of reminders that you're given on a daily, weekly, monthly basis from your employer about checking IDs?
They always come up to our counter and they always remind us. And even, other employees remind other employees. Everybody, make sure everybody's on board. I just wasn't on board at that day.
Okay. I guess I'd like to kind of peel that onion back a little bit. Why were you not on your game that day?
I just head clutter, had a rough day, if I'm be honest. A lot of family stuff at home. Stuff like that. That's really all.
Okay, I didn't have any further questions.
Anybody else questions? Mr. Cole? Nothing?
No, it's pretty straightforward to me.
Okay. Very well. We'll move into the penalty phase.
Mr. Cole, would you like to do the honors?
I'll make a motion that we fine Joshua Robert Regal, first offense on this, a fine of $250.
Okay.
That's it.
We have a motion for $250 penalty. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It's three yea and one opposed. Mr. Watts? Okay. So, Mr. Regal, you have 10 days to pay the fine, and you may, within 30 days from today, appeal the decision to the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County. Understand?
I understand.
Please go see
Thank you.
Susie over there. Thank you. Licensee, Lucas Pearson Black and Mary Jolene Black. Sale of alcoholic beverages to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6-304 of the alcohol beverage article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and 5.04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Board of St. Mary's County. Please be sworn in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Jody Black. My address is 24350 Tennyson Family Lane, Chaptico, Maryland, 20621.
My name is Lucas Pearson Black, and I live in the same address.
Please be seated.
Please go.
So, did the underage sale take place?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Beaver?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the facts underlying this violation are as follows. On May 30th, 2023, at approximately 4:30 p.m., St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit sent a Sheriff's Office confidential informant 19 years of age into Chaptico Market and Deli located at 25466 Maddox Road in Chaptico, Maryland. Once inside, the confidential informant retrieved a 6-pack of 12-ounce cans of Smirnoff Ice, red, white, and berry, and proceeded to the checkout counter. Confidential informant placed the alcoholic beverages on the counter for purchase, where the clerk, later identified as Mr. Joshua Robert Regal, proceeded with the sale. Mr. Regal failed to ask the confidential informant for any identification or proof of age. Confidential informant completed the purchase of the alcoholic beverages and exited the licensed premise with the beverages. Confidential informant thereafter made contact with Corporal Patrick Handy and Deputy Stephen Myers of the Alcohol Enforcement Unit outside the licensed premise. Confidential informant described the sale of the alcoholic beverages to the unit members and advised the clerk that he did not ask for any identification. Thereafter, Corporal Handy and Deputy Myers entered the licensed premise, identified themselves to Mr. Regal, and informed him that he had made an underage sale. Mr. Regal admitted to not asking for ID prior to selling the alcoholic beverages to the confidential informant. Mr. Regal was informed by the officers that an offense report would be completed and that he and the licensees would be summoned to appear before this board. Photographs were taken of the beverages and placed into evidence. All this occurred in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Questions?
Mr. and Ms. Black, what is your policy there at the Chapter Market?
Everybody's supposed to card everyone. It's our policy at Chapter Market.
Okay. What sort of training do you provide your staff prior to allowing them to serve?
So we have 2 employees that have been there for a significant amount of time, and I always have our new employees work with them for about a week, and just they will be on the register for about a week, the actual long-term employees. And then the new staff will kind of shadow, and then we reverse, and then the long-time employees will oversee our new employees to make sure that they're counting money back, carding, doing all the appropriate things. And it's worked very well until this issue. So, you know, we stress, and our long-term employees are hard on the new employees on it as well, because they take it very seriously just as well as us. So.
Okay. Do you have any sort of, any sort of daily reminders, signage at your counter, monthly, weekly training, recurring training, or anything like that for your employees?
So we have the nice little thing up on the register that states the date that you're supposed to be. That's the date the person should be at 21. And, Lucas and I are constantly reminding them to card people coming in. And as soon as the event took place with Joshua making the mistake, he called us. I had just gotten home from the market, and he was very upset. He knew he had made a terrible mistake. And literally, as soon as I got back in the next morning, we typed up a letter, we posted it at the counter, and, just informing all the staff that work on the register how important it is and, what has happened and how terrible it is. And then I spoke to each individual cashier that would be working to inform them of what had happened and the importance of carding everybody that comes into our market.
Okay. I'm curious, so despite all this training and everything and reminders, this still happened. I'm curious, in your opinion, why do you think that was?
I think Joshua was just being very careless. I think Joshua's young, and he doesn't understand that this is our business. This is just his job. But this is the example of Chaptico Market and the example of Lucas and I and our family's business. But he is young, and young people make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And I know that this is going to teach him, this will teach him a good lesson of how it's affected Lucas and I and how it's affected our business. It's extremely negative for our family business. It upsets Lucas and I very much because we don't want our business to have this name that, we're doing anything bad in the community. We try very hard to do everything right.
Sure.
How long have you all held this license?
In our name,
Yes.
we've owned it for 4 years.
4 years?
Yes.
Okay. Both of you have gone to RAST training?
Yes.
Okay.
Or have you thought about any changes that you might make to, I guess, your either current training program or your current policies or your current signage or anything like that to try to prevent this from happening again?
I don't know what more we could have done. I really don't feel that this was an issue on Lucas and I as much as we've stressed it, as much as we've, you know, had meetings and had talked to our employees. I really feel like this was a employee issue that made this mistake on his decision. I do not feel like this was something that was our fault for something that we could have done any better. We have literally stressed the importance of carding everybody that comes in our building so that this doesn't happen.
Because we've had a lot of people through the building, we've got a lot of green cards, and it's talked, we only have a few cashiers, so they talk about it all the time. You know, they understand that you have to be always checking, you always have to be checking everybody's card, even if you
Yes.
think you know the person, you have to pull their ID out and physically look at it.
Okay. I didn't have any further questions, Mr. Chairman.
The first violation y'all had since you've been to,
Yes, I think the first in Chaptica Market's
I've been at
history, I
Chaptica-
hope.
say, I don't think,
I've been at Chaptica Market since 2010.
Yeah, I don't think so either,
I've
so,
never-
yeah.
We've
Yeah.
never had anything.
Yeah.
okay.
Mr. Cole?
No.
Okay. So you have written policy.
We do not have any written policy.
have
It's
written
just
policy.
our policy. As soon as they start training with us, it is out of our mouth stating them that this is the way it goes.
So your employees only get training there. They don't go to any sort of other training. They don't do any online training, and you don't have any written policies.
No, we have had our staff go to the different classes. Like some of our long-term employees have gone to the different alcohol classes.
But Mr. Regal had not.
No, he had not, no.
Okay. So I appreciate it. Thank you. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion, based on the facts presented and the testimony received, regarding licensees Lucas Black and Mary Black for the sale of alcohol beverage to a person under the age of 21 in violation of 6.304 of the Alcohol Beverages Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and 6.04J of the Rules and Regulations of the Alcohol Beverage Board of St. Mary's County. Recommend fine of $1,000, $500 held in abeyance, and RAST training to be completed by the licensee within 90 days.
Just a correction, that's 5.04J.
Sorry, thank you. 5.04, my eyes and my phone were not. Getting old.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Do you have a second? I'll second it. Discussion.
Nothing further.
I'll tell you why I second it. I second it because there are things that they could have done beyond what they've done. A policy that's written, an employee handbook, a signed document acknowledging that they understand the policy, and external training outside of the store are all things that could have been done. So there is another step. In fact, they've never had a problem before, right? And maybe they're long-term employees who have had that external training outside the store, that's been very effective for them. But everybody in the store does not have the same level of training.
So
And it's the word of mouth that the policy's put down and is not documented. And if it's not written down and everybody gets to read the same document and signs off on it, they all have not had the same exposure necessarily. So with that, that's why I am seconding it.
So I guess it's not uncommon for a lot of our licensees to have basically the licensee and some of their full-time staff do the external training, but oftentimes their servers, counter servers and things like that have been internally trained.
Yeah, but sometimes some businesses have done everybody. And some businesses have come in here and testified and said, we made a mistake. And what did we do? We did training after the fact.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that there hasn't been any additional training for the young man since the event happened.
It happened in May 30th, but no, we would love to
Right.
see him signed up.
So there's no corrective action necessarily to advance his training.
Yep. Well, and that's why I asked the question the way I did, right? And so I'm glad this is coming up, right? I think this is probably maybe in part of this conversation, this discussion, I do get a sense that these licensees are going to take some of these recommendations, and certainly hope they will emphatically, to perhaps produce a written document. But it does sound like they are taking this seriously. They are doing
Oh,
at
yes,
least
I agree
at least
with
the things that with the signage that they have, with the the must be older than date posted there at the counter. It does sound like they are doing some of those things. Are there things they can do better? Yes, I think there are, and I agree with you there. And I'm hoping, again, part of this conversation, that they're going to take that to heart and implement some of those changes.
I bring it up because I think it's relevant for me, when I decide what I'm going to post for a penalty.
I understand.
Somebody comes in here and says, yes, we made a mistake. Everybody seems to come in here and say that. Most people are distracted. And the fact is, I think many young people are intimidated and they don't want to ask. We see more young people in here than middle-aged or older people though they have, but, that's seems to be a trend lately. There's been a lot of young people. And I think that if I was in their shoes and I had to ask, that's probably the most dreaded part of the entire transaction, ID card. People get offended by it.
They do.
And so it's just a negative experience in many cases. And I think sometimes they just don't want to do it. So, anyway.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the previous licensee had policy and procedures written. These
And they
do not.
Yep.
Okay? There's a distinction there.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, in the first testimony, they didn't all necessarily know what the policy was of the store. One
Right.
said 40, one sit there and said 100%, the testimony before, and then the manager was, well, it's actually not necessarily, it's best policy is 100%, but it was not policy. So there was no consensus on what the age of checking it was in the testimony.
Well, if it's written, then there's no excuse.
Exactly.
It's in black and white.
I'm not saying that I can tell, I'm telling people how to do their business.
Right, exactly.
I'm not. It's your business, run it. It's your investment, it's your life. But things that we're gonna ask questions about and try to figure out, are the people properly trained? These are things that are relevant to me. So, anyway. Any further discussion before we have a vote? We have a first, we have a second. Discussion's done. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? You have 10 days to pay the fine, and you may, within 30 days from today, appeal the decision to the Circuit Court of St. Mary's County. You can go see Susie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Next on the agenda, applications. We have Kitchen Latrice, application of James D. Carr and Shanika L. Carr and Jose J. Arroyo to purchase a Class D beer wine liquor license and trade as Kitchen Latrice Carr LLC, 26130 Three Notch Road, Mechanicsville, Maryland, 20659. Please swear him in.
Do you hereby declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is James D'Angelo Carr. Address is 24066 Hollywood, Maryland, 20636. Oh, Woodmore, I'm sorry. 24066 Woodmore Drive, Hollywood, Maryland, 20636.
Okay.
Forgot where you live.
Shanika Latrice Carr, address is 24066 Woodmore Drive, Hollywood, Maryland, 20636.
My name is Jose Arroyo.
My address is at 4640 Western Circle, Louisville, Maryland, 2657.
Okay, please come forward and have a seat.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and present your application, please.
Okay. I, James Carr. Yes, business manager for the Kitchen Latrice is requesting alcohol Class D license for the Kitchen Latrice at 26130 Mechanicsville, Maryland, 20659.
Okay. And kind of business you're going to be running here? Is this just a bar, or is it going to?
It's a bar for right now. The intention is to open up a kitchen down the road. As we've been doing a lot of investigation and some topical renovations, we're finding problems, and I've had Mark come out there numerous times and look to tell me that it's okay for the kitchen. The size wasn't right what we were looking for in the beginning, and then the changes that we have to make are a little bit extensive. So the plan is to try to generate some money first so that we can move forward to the making all the kitchen renovations, because there's a lot. Then there's a lot with the building being the age of it that it is and things like that.
Okay. Questions, members?
Yeah, according to your drawing that I have here,
Yes, sir.
okay, where will you store your liquor?
There's a back closet. If you look on that sheet of paper right there to the left.
In the storage room?
Yes.
It's in the back there?
That's a locked door back there.
And that's a locked door?
Yes.
I'm assuming that the entrance is off the hallway there, is that correct?
There's an exit. There's an exit there, but the entrance will be in the front of the building, right there in the middle, right next to the bar. There's two entrances, one handicap and one.
No, I'm talking about the entrance to the storage
Oh, okay.
room itself.
Yes.
Is that off you go down that
No.
hallway?
No. You go through the kitchen.
You go through the kitchen
Then there's another room right there,
into that back room that's
which will be the
the
office
same
for now.
size, right?
Yes.
And then that door there will be locked?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so that's an office. Okay.
There's an
understood.
office, and then off to the left, there's a closet.
Okay.
Okay, so the room next to the kitchen is the actual office?
Yes.
correct? Okay. How soon do you anticipate that you'll have this kitchen up and running?
We're looking anywhere between 6 months to 6 to 12 months.
6 months?
Yes.
But it's not part of this application today.
No.
Right, I
They would be
understand.
probably coming again to CNS for a restaurant license once you have a restaurant.
Correct.
Okay.
There's just a lot of changes that has to be done. That the building as it is has been grandfathered in, so there's a lot of things they were able to do that we're not able to do now in 2023. So we
Right.
have to increase pipes, sizes, exiting the building, and other things like that. So Mark was like, I don't want you wasting any money until we have all the plans approved to make sure that you don't waste your time.
Okay.
And just to clarify, if the board's not familiar, this is originally the old Jolly Gents building that was formerly
Nightlife.
Nightlife, and then Mr.
Has a
Swales had it.
number of names.
Yes, yes.
Stardust.
Stardust Lounge.
Well, I guess I'm getting to, this is for a Class D.
Yeah, it's a bar license,
license,
that's what they're asking, it's the
which is a
same
bar
license.
room,
That's
right?
what the building's always had.
And then when you go to restaurant, then you're gonna have to have
They can, if they choose, yeah.
a Class B?
Yeah, we've discussed that. That's
Okay.
way out in the,
Yeah.
way out in the future.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? I do. Have you ever, so you've never been involved in the sale of alcohol before?
Jose, my general manager, who will be the general manager, has. I'll let him speak on his own. But as far as us, this is Latrice Carr. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with her, but we've been in the entertainment business here in St. Mary's County for over 20 years, doing things on the square, working with all the vendors here. So we've hosted events, managed events, but I've done things off of other managers' licenses. So myself doing it, holding the license, no. But just as far as the other business and the entertainment and doing things, hosting parties, host liquor license and things like that, yes. But Jose can speak on his behalf.
Okay, so you're experienced.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, we work inside the restaurant about alcohol almost like 20 years ago. We work in Leonardtown, the Cerro Grande, like very long time ago. I work for Monterrey, and Plaza Azteca is the same corporation, like probably like 16 years there.
Okay.
So I'm the bartender and I'm the manager. So right now I try to open my own place.
So you're going to be able to help your business partners here to navigate all the rules and regulations and be responsible holders of a liquor license.
Yes.
You think so? Okay.
Yes.
What is the occupancy for this building?
170.
170 total, huh?
Yes. And if it helps, we have a bar consultant that we consult with. She does all of our training. We have all of our bartenders already trained, already tip certified. She's created policies and procedures for us, SOPs, opening and closing, and we're also going to do monthly huddles. That's a government term that I use.
Did you say you have an SOP? Is that what I
Yes.
heard you say? Okay.
Yeah, we got standard operating procedures, so we will have signage everywhere, and we're also doing a no entry, no ID, no entry policy, and we're also doing we're gonna have heavy signage, so it's different. It's gonna be different from what people are used to, and we really don't care.
So you guys are gonna have just a, like a fixed admission?
No, we're not really gonna have. We're gonna have a mission when we do acts. So this is not gonna be your typical bar. Since the mission, I got to give you the whole story now. So and I like talking about it. So this is fine. So our mission when we started this business venture together 2 years ago was to do a restaurant. We just couldn't find a place, so we were really about to walk away from it and just say, you know what, we just can't find a place. We looked at IHOP, we looked at a couple other places, and like I said, I've been dealing with Mark for almost 2 years, just going to place. So we have a vision of just wanting an upscale, nice soul food place with Mexican things. We was going to call it like Blaxican, right? But that's just a joke. But we were going to have like inspiration of soul food and inspiration of the Caribbean. That was going to be our theme, and it was going to be, we wanted to have acts. By us being in the entertainment business and stuff like that, we still wanted to have acts coming down. So when that idea crossed and we weren't going to be able to probably make that happen, we were called by Mr. Swells, who owns the Stardust now. And as you guys know, the history of the Stardust has a lot of African-American history where they like to hang out. So he said, people have been asking me to give this place to them so they can just turn it into a club or do whatever. And he said, no, it has to be passed down to somebody who's responsible. Our name was given, my wife's name was given to him by a young lady. We met with Mr. Swells, and we told him our vision, what we would do, what we upheld the property to do, and he bought what we sold, and he was like, okay. And at the same time, I told him I would help preserve his land. I would help him do other things for the community, and they all liked it. And then I brought it to my partner and said, hey, we're going to have to change direction a little bit because it's kind of important to the African-American background, the history. And so we may have to just go a little bit different. And he agreed. He said, no, whatever you guys want, let's start this so we can do this. So we revamped the business plan and said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have dress codes on Fridays and Saturdays. We're charging when we have acts, and we're not going to be your normal bar. I've already talked to older people in the community where I want them to have functions there, like on a Wednesday night or something, and that way they bring their people, and that's way things are crowd controlled. So we also already have an armed security team, Willett Security LLC. They also deal with my other business partners over at Atomic, and I know they had an incident over there, but our whole thing, we've been dealing with Joe Curley, all of our people. We're business friends with all the business owners, all the nightlife owners, all the restaurant owners here in the county. So we have a name to uphold, and it's something that we're trying to do for the community. And I'm really trying to make a statement in the community, if it means anything to you.
Well, the reason I'm asking about how you're going to proceed with, your clientele is I don't want to see a repeat of what happened with another nightclub down here where they had two different charges. They charged the women $10 to get in, and they charged the guys $20 to get in.
Yeah, a lot of clubs
Okay.
do that.
So they charge you 20 and you felt they charge you 20
You
and
were
you felt
upset.
slighted.
No. What happened was,
We
and
always
there
haven't
was,
been-
I think, a
see you recently.
drink minimum, on what you had, and we ended up with just massive crowds out in the middle of the road, and
Well, we're going for a totally different crowd, and to be honest with you, even though the age limit will be 21, nobody's gonna like it because we're gearing to the 40 and older.
So when they come there, they're gonna be like, oh, it's
We've already
boring.
changed it. We've kind of like moved the dance floor where it was going to be. People are already mad. Cause we put couches and lounges there, so it has more of a lounge feel. We are also tempering expectations by we're putting our theme is not going to be people ask, are you going to have a pool table in there? No. People are asking me, are you going to have dartboards and stuff in there? No, it's not that kind of place. We are already tempering expectations with Black History on the wall. So, like I said again, if that means
well,
something
that's
to you,
why I asked you what your occupancy was,
So we're planning on having food trucks there until we're able to get a kitchen. So So at the same time, I'm pushing other businesses to also be a part of what we're doing. So I want a food truck right there on the on the property line, right there by 235. Well within where nobody can get hurt. But if patrons don't want to actually come in to the bar, they can still patronize the food truck. So I'm trying to give other business owners the opportunity as well to make money, and also, our place is open to anyone.
Sure.
So guys going to be doing any of the baseball stuff? You got a baseball field. Is that part of your?
Okay. All right, Mr. Swell's still on it. I did not apply my license to that part of that field. Now, however, with Mr. Swells, I'm trying to help him manage and have meetings with the league's commissioners and presidents because they've been taking advantage of him. So I've been helping him manage that. So as of right now, we're not going to be open at all doing Sundays until the season is over because I'm not dealing with that. I've been talking to Tammy numerous times, and she's been very helpful with us as well. So we tackled that situation, and she said, do you want to add it? You can. And I said, you know what? After talking to you and dealing with that, no.
Okay. Well, I'm done. Let's have a motion?
There is.
Oh,
one
conditional
condition
approval? Okay,
Whenever I
sorry.
speak with them, because they did, Mr. Swales has relinquished his license, but he had inventory there, so we had gone through the bulk transfer inventory of his liquor stock. I still have not received the certificate, but I also have had my email and computer down, so has to be contingent, that has to be a condition, but I will be, as soon as we get back to the office, I'll be calling up the road and finding out.
And I did find the
Or
receipt. They
stock.
did. We did send it to them.
Yeah, I'll give you the check number. Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
So it's a conditional on on a
Bulk transfer
bulk transfer,
certificate.
okay.
That's the only condition.
Carl,
it?
when do you anticipate opening this?
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to do a soft opening for like 30 days straight whenever we are allowed to get our license.
I'm thinking, once I get off the phone today, or if I have to, don't reach out to somebody till tomorrow morning if they don't get back to me, I anticipate probably tomorrow.
Okay.
That's fine.
Not making a promise, but probably tomorrow.
If tomorrow,
So you're thinking this coming Thursday?
no,
a
we're
soft
thinking the
open?
next Thursday and Friday only. Soft opening, which means
This upcoming Thursday and Friday.
What's the
But
date? Oh, yeah.
today's Thursday.
Yeah.
But we probably won't, we'll probably have to push it out a week.
Yes.
Because she has to
Still
get
going to
that
have to do orders as well.
Yes.
and we're doing everything in phases before we go full fledged. And then we're trying to teach everybody when they come back. Because that's one reason we wanted to be closed, because this place has been closed for 2 or 3 months. He had to relinquish everything and whatever. So we wanted it closed, and we didn't want anybody to come in there. So when they come back, they know it's just totally, this is not the same place we left.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go back.
How many employees do you anticipate having?
5.
5 total?
Okay. Not counting ourselves, but 5.
Will the two of you work as employees also?
No, owners. Well, yes.
He'll be working.
Yes, we'll be working, but yes, I applied for 5. We filed for 5.
Yeah.
4 bartenders, and then I have like a maintenance man.
And Jose.
And then you're managing.
8.
Yeah, we'll all be there, hands on at all times.
Okay. Okay.
And we're not opening up. We're not planning on opening until like 4:30 in the afternoon and closing at 12.
And they close at 12?
12 on the weekdays, and then on Friday and Saturday we're just going to do like 1, but last call is 12:30, so we won't be open. And we won't be open at 4 o'clock.
I found that the closing time got less and less.
Oh yeah, no, I told you I have a lot of business.
So I just wanted to, at that point, just get out of here,
Well, we get a lot of consultation from a lot of people that know better. So if you listen to people, you learn something.
Right.
So, members, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for Kitchen Latrice in the name of James D. Carr, Shanika, my apologies.
It's okay.
Shanika
Yes.
El Carr and Jose Ororo to purchase a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license and trade as Kitchen Latrice Carr LLC, 26130 Three Notch Road, Mechanicsville, Maryland, 20659. We'll go ahead and make a 90-day conditional on the bulk transfer.
Okay.
You have everything other than that, right?
Yes, they're.
Oh yeah, everything.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Discussion? Mr. Cole?
Nope.
No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Good luck.
Thank you.
I sure appreciate
Good luck.
that.
I plan on you not seeing us again, okay?
Yeah.
Let's force on improvement.
Unless you come and visit.
Thank you, because we don't like doing that.
$30
Really?
entry fee for Mr. Cole.
We already scheduled it.
They're on the schedule.
We're on the schedule.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you guys a call.
Okay, thank you.
Any licensee applicant for a license or group of not less than 10 persons who are residents or real estate owners in the district in which a licensed place of business is located or proposed to be located may within 30 days from the date of any final decision of the board in approving, suspending, revoking, restricting, or refusing to approve, suspend, revoke, or restrict any license or licensee, appeal such decision to the Circuit Court for St. Mary's County. The appellants shall be required to pay in advance a sum of money reasonably estimated to cover the expense of transcribing the hearing of the decision being appealed. Okay, next item is officer membership trade name changes. First one is Sunset Cove 2, changing the trade name to Salt Waterfront Kitchen.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Sunset Cove 2 trade name change to Salt Waterfront Kitchen.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Member Watts. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Britton Bay Golf and Country Club, removing Richard Pace and Kevin McLeaf, adding Helen M. Warnicki and David Darden.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Brenton Bay Golf and Country Club, removing Richard Pace and Kevin McLeaf, adding Helen M. Warnick and David Darden.
Okay, we have a motion?
I'll second.
We have a second from Vice Chairman Watts. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Next item, the front porch, adding Jordan N. Walker.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request by the front porch to add Jordan N. Walker.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Member Hill. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Done. Board Administrator report.
Mela conference. I gave everybody a Mela packet. Actually, I was surprised, but most of my board has, other than Mr. Cole, has never been to a conference. So I did give you some extra paperwork there so I can get a vendor number for you if you decide to come. It is in Ocean City. Travel there would be Sunday night. You would stay there Sunday night. Conference all day Monday and Tuesday morning, leaving Tuesday after the conference.
When is check-in on Sunday, 4 o'clock?
Sunday, yeah, after 4.
After 4 o'clock?
Unfortunately, I'll be in Orlando at a
Okay.
real estate conference that time.
Okay.
Tammy?
Yes.
What dates again, excuse me?
The dates are
15th through
October
17th.
15th to the 17th.
You know, this is, Tammy,
Yes.
I don't see the name of the hotel.
You cut off the thing. It's the Grand,
Is it the part that I cut off?
probably. No. It's going to be at the Grand. It's going to be at the Grand Hotel. I'm sorry. It's not on there, but that's because I make the reservations. You don't. I would tell you before you go. You just only. I'd let you know where you're going before you go.
Before he winds up in a van down by the beach.
But if you could get me the paperwork or word back that you're going before or by the next board meeting, I'd appreciate it because I have to get, I've got to reserve the rooms before, well, early September. So, which means I got to get checks and stuff from finance, which takes time. So please let me know. If you're going to bring a guest and you want them to share meals with you, you do have to pay the full registration fee for you, which is on that checklist. If you have questions about that, just let me know. Thank you.
Is that it?
And I think that's it, right? I didn't have anything. Yeah, that's it. You don't want to hear from me. I'm good.
Here you go. Okay. Alcohol Enforcement Coordinator report.
Good afternoon. On June 30th, the Sheriff's Office Alcohol Enforcement Unit conducted a succession of compliance checks. We went to 22 businesses, of which 21 were found to be in compliance, and of course, one was not. In reference to DUI arrests, we had 8. State Police had 9. Month of June 2023. I did 2 specific businesses for stationary surveillance, 1 hour apiece for underage drive-throughs this time. I was just observing the drive-through to see if they were checking anybody's IDs and things of that nature. As far as public parks, went to 5th, 7th District, Laurel Grove, Kids Point, and Leonardtown Wharf with no violations observed. As far as training, attended RAS and agency firearms training. And that concludes, well, one more thing. I did 27 tobacco checks also with 0 violations.
Thank you.
That
Appreciate it.
concludes.
Beverage Association? No. Cannabis and Alcohol Coalition? No.
Board Inspector report.
Board Inspector report?
Always
yeah,
leaving
don't
Kevin
forget
out.
that.
They always leaving Kevin out.
No, it's normally him.
Kevin, they're gonna take back your
Kevin
truck too.
Good afternoon. This past month, I did roughly 15 inspections. I couldn't count them today because our email and calendars are down. 2 mailer meetings. Also listened in on a ATC meeting one evening from a Zoom conference from Annapolis, and pretty much it. Regular paperwork and stuff around the office.
Okay. Thank you. Members have any questions?
Sir.
Members have anything to want to talk about?
I had a thought when we were talking about, some of these license holders and things that they can do to improve their own processes and procedures. And I understand, right? I mean, that's a very well valid point, right? It's their business. They should run it the way they want. However, that being said, right, how could we, and is there value in doing, coming up with the board's like recommendations, right, for either existing existing licensees or new license applications, that we can present to them that, says, hey, here's some things that we found that work very well for those sorts of
I
things.
will once again, sir, recommend you come to RAS training so you can see, because that is the closest thing you have, without us putting anything on them. Because
Understand, I mean, but
to put it in here, and our attorney's sitting right here, so he can smack me if I'm wrong, but if you start like wanting to put something in writing and put your name on it, one, I think you're working outside your jurisdiction as far as what the board's supposed to be doing, what's listed in law as your job, okay?
Not holding their hand.
Well, not telling them how to run their business.
Well, but there's a difference too between telling someone making something a requirement and making something as a, recommendation or suggestion or things of that nature,
The
right?
very first, the big part of RAST is good, better, and best business practices. And we discussed that, and the reason it's good there is because you have senior business owners and junior new business owners where they can talk to each other and where we can chime in on what we've seen out in the community that seems to work specific to certain problems. I would just be very concerned if you put something in writing or you put the Alcohol Beverage Board name on it, aside from the fact that you're working outside your parameters as a board, that also now this puts a liability on us as well.
And the RAS training is best venue to place that because with Tammy giving instruction and Kevin giving instruction, we think of specific things that have occurred in the past at different locations that failed to ask for identification. And without naming business names or employees, we give them that rendition of what went wrong and what they should do to improve upon that.
Sure.
So they are getting the information when they go through RAS, and we build on it each and every time because we run into different factors as we go through, like, what we just had. We had somebody that joined a group of people that, was circumstantially not part of our, compliance check, but it worked out. This is what they should do. Don't assume that all three are together and that because you knew one, you know all. So we do tell them that. Never assume, ask for the ID, and everything will be fine.
And every month we have a RAS class. And
Right.
every licensee is required by law to come. So all these
Right.
licensees who are here, they're either on the schedule, even you just did a whole bunch of
And it's
approvals
free.
for new licensees, you have replacements. They're required to come.
And some of them have already been there.
Yeah,
Well, I was just
some
gonna say, I
will.
mean, that's kind of my point, right? Like, so the Chaptico market owners, right? They were just said that they've had, they've been there for 4 years. So I have to presume then that they've had RAS training within the
Yes,
last
they
4
said
years,
they had.
right? And so we've also, as part of our penalties, right, require them to go back to RAS training. And so the reason why I bring it up is we're still having these issues, right?
Well-
We still have licensees that don't necessarily, that as the chairman pointed out, right, hey, there was some more things you could have done, right? And so again, I agree, we're not our responsibility to hold their hand, right? But it's certainly
Everybody
our
knows it's not supposed to
responsibility
speed too. You still got speeders out there, so I mean,
As I was just gonna say,
It's
you've
just
got
always,
stop
it's
signs
just
for
part of
people
life.
running.
It's
Part of life.
Everything is a circle of trust when it comes to that.
Sure.
Such as the educational factor of how to go about your procedures. And then if you do mess up, then there's a fine that gives you a reminder, a bite in your wallet kind of thing. And that's, comes full
Sure.
turn with that. Okay, we have the education. Are you going to use it? Well, this time I am because I'm not paying $250 every time.
What was good is both of your clerks who actually made the sales were very honest in saying, yeah, I know I should have checked the ID. I just didn't.
Didn't do it.
Didn't. really no viable, like no, the back room was on fire and the smoke was filling up, nothing like that was going on where
Right,
there was
right.
any justifiable reason for them not to check the ID. And,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying? So,
And
they
again,
laid
I'm
it
thinking
out.
less so much the clerks, right? Obviously, they're the they're the fire team leader, right? The Marine Corps terms, right? They're the ones out front. But I'm thinking about the clerks, right? Or the licensees, right? And and sometimes, despite their best policies, right, these mistakes still happen. I
Right.
get that. And so, but as as I've continued to be on the board, I guess going on my third year now, right, then I continue to see some of these reoccurring things. I just kind of I can't but wonder, and why I bring it up at board members' time, right, is there something more we can do as a board to help the community, help those licensees do more? Obviously, we've got to be within our bounds and, what we're bound to by law, but I just, like I said, I thought it was just worthy of a discussion to bring it up.
You could suggest to the owners, perhaps if they send their
Yeah, they're
employees.
welcome, all their staff
can't
is
tell them to
welcome to
do
come
that.
to Rast, and
No, I know.
they've been told that, and a lot of them
Right.
know that, and I have businesses that make the choice of every new employee that they hire, they send to the next Rast class we have.
Sure.
However, you hear them mention the Red Card, Green Card program,
familiar.
that's the Responsible Retailer Forum.
Right.
That's on our webpage, the link to that, but also in our waiting area, they do booklets on operating manuals, sample operating manuals for on sale, like restaurants and bars, or off sale liquor stores. Those are out there, we make copies of them and lay them out there for them.
Sure.
They're welcome, and we tell them, go out there and help yourself. But I just don't think it's within the parameters of us to do much more. I mean, we do a lot more than many boards in the
Okay.
state. I mean, the fact that we have a RAST program, there's, I don't know,
And Joe Curley and them are working on,
the retail beverage.
the Retail Beverage Association is working on a form to give out to everybody,
Okay, good.
so that they would, just have their employees sign it when they do it. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the
they,
business.
they've given us a draft of it, so they're working on stuff, but then again, everybody doesn't join that either.
Yeah, you can't make people join that. I think what is the number,
They only-
25% of
Yeah,
our.
they only have
like-
like 20, 25 or 30 of the businesses that are in it.
They're all, because the Beverage Association has asked us, they gave us a flyer and said, can you give this to the new licensees? Just an informational flyer. We put our disclaimer, because anything that comes from your mouth or paperwork that comes from our office is seen as gospel.
Right.
Oh, that's a must, not a maybe. So we have a disclaimer on the top that you're not required by law to join. But the Beverage Association wants them to have that information, because that's another resource for them,
Sure.
for all aspects of business, not just, enforcement and compliance. It's even ordering, or what to do if you get a case of all broken stuff, and how to deal with your, I'm having trouble with a distributor. They've even called on behalf of each other with distributors, so there's,
And they helped us with the RAS class, getting the RAS class together at the Retail Beverage Association. So, I mean, we've had their input of what they thought we should tell them
Okay.
as far as training also, so.
All right. Well, thank you for the discussion. It was,
but you're
That was good.
welcome to come anytime. Barbara went.
Yeah, I took the class.
yes.
I did
I am
not.
trying to get in there. I would love to. And
Did you hear him? He said I
I
failed.
can barely
Oh.
keep my head above water right now. It's been a crazy 12 months, so.
It was very informative. I'm really
I definitely
enjoying
want
it.
to, I definitely need to,
And-
definitely want to.
Half of the class, we hand them licenses to
Right.
actually get
Just
their hands
hands-on.
on. And we tell them all the time, don't assume your employees even know what to look for on a license. Just
Right.
because they got one in their pocket and that's how they get to work in the morning, doesn't mean they even looked at the darn thing, other than, do I look good in my picture? And that's a big assumption people make. We don't realize,
Well, you can even with the owners, you can tell when they get it in,
we watch
we
it.
put it under the black lights and stuff, and they're like, oh, this is on there, and we give them easy things to show.
The date of birth and how
Yeah.
long does it take, because we watch them and we could see how long it's taken them to look for the date of birth and look for the issue or the expiration date, and it's very interesting, right?
Yes, I mean, some we almost have to go show it, where it's at, and then.
And we do.
And we give them quick hints on stuff that's on the license that
you can
Quickly,
pick up. I mean, you can do just like this and you can tell it's a fake ID almost, so.
but it's like the new license, the real ID is awesome because it's a one-stop shop.
Yes, yes.
On identification. So,
There's some businesses that won't take a vertical license,
Right.
even though they're of age, it's a choice they.
That's
they
part of
do.
our training. I mean, it is
It won't take a what now?
the vertical.
Vertical license.
because you can
somebody-
turn 21 and keep your vertical for a little while before.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, we got one that it was in the class, it was good till what, 27?
Oh, yeah, they're going for.
It was like an 8-year vertical license.
Now it's 8 years.
That they can keep those?
We had one show up, he had it. And
Motor vehicle.
Yeah.
So, that's an example of business policy and it's above and beyond. Sure.
Right.
Well, I think a case in
People
point,
making mistakes.
the case in point today with two of the violations, one had policies and procedures. The other one, no, we don't have anything like that,
They both
And that
have
makes all
policies.
the
They
difference.
both had them, one just didn't have it in writing.
Documentation's.
Yeah, both had it, but one didn't have it in writing.
Right.
Right.
And that business never had it in writing.
Right.
No, because that's old school.
Because Jackie didn't have
Jackie
nothing
Tennyson
written
didn't.
down.
That was from old school, so.
And some say, well, I tell them not to serve anybody under 21. That's my training,
So,
you know?
in all these businesses, they want to be successful and they don't want to be, no, they don't want to be here.
Right.
This is actually part of the deterrence
Violation.
is
But he
don't
never
want
had
to
a
be here and,
No, I'm sure.
Because he was Jackie.
That's right.
anyway, we
We
done?
don't go any further.
We have a motion?
I make a
Motion to
motion to
adjourn.
adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion from Member Cole. Do we have a second?
Second.
Chairman Watts seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There it is. Thank you.
Quick enough?